Welcome back to Vintage Story. This is my single player world. I have played over 300 hours on this world, and it was generated a long time ago on the 1.9.2 edition of Vintage Story. So I'm pretty late in the game here, and there are certain things that I think would enhance the late game experience for some of us. So, what do I think would enhance it? Now, I have already talked to Saraty about mushrooms. I feel we're a bit short in the mushroom department. And I know that Saraty would love to do as I would love her to do, which is to have the time, and it is time, to design and draw out a yellow mushroom, and there are some beautiful purple mushrooms. In real life, those are yellow and purple mushrooms, and I'd love those, and I know she'd love them too. But the first thing I would really like, apart from a mannequin, which I need, is a journal. Now, I'm a collector. I love collecting stuff, so I collect all the plants, I collect all the flowers, and it's easy for me to remember what trees, what flowers I've got. What's not so easy to remember is what clothes I've got. So you can see that I've got 2 chests full of clothes. Some I found in ruins, some I found by panning. This jailer belt I found by panning, but some I've purchased. So, for example, I have the squire boots, I have the squire pants, the squire shirt, and the squire hood. I've got a tattered peasant gown, a peasant shirt, lackey shoes, lackey breeches. I need the lackey shirt. I've got a lackey hat. So I'm collecting these different sets of clothing. And to me, I've also got a messenger set upstairs. It's going to be important as well, I think, because I've got the wool-lined knee-high boots and the warm robe, which I might need to wear because the next update is going to be seasons. At the moment, I have nowhere or no way of showing off these beautiful clothes, but more importantly, I've no way of remembering what I've got. And you will notice that in here I've got a merchant hat. Well, I already had a merchant hat, which I've got on at the moment. You can see my clothes here. There you go. I've got the merchant hat. But I'd forgotten that I had the merchant hat. So I bought another merchant hat, which I know I can trade with a clothes trader or with a commodities trader. But nonetheless, it would have been nice to have had with me a list of what clothes I have. I am actually writing down my list of clothes on a piece of paper. So I'm keeping that on a piece of paper in real life. So that's a bit of a nonsense. And the other thing that I have a problem with is I'm late in the game. I've just found my 5th translocator, which is superb. And everyone comes with traders. But how do you remember what trader is where? And I'm resorting to this. I don't have enough room to write it all down, but I know that the home base, this is this one. I have a clothes trader to the south, a clothes trader to the north, and a building materials trader to the west. Now, in the first base, the old base, I have a commodities trader to the east, I think, and no, sorry, he's to the north, and to the east I have a treasure seeker. I know that in the library base I've got another treasure seeker there, but I can't remember them all, and I'm beginning to think, is that correctly remembered? So I'm going to need 5 boards here to write down what I've got in which base. Now, if I could just press J, have some pages for me, I would be able to have a page for the clothes that I've got, I would be able to have a page for my translocators and what traders I've got. And I'd like to be able to put notes with them, such as, you know, this trader occasionally has temporal gears, or this guy's looking for this sort of thing. It's one of these things where because I'm going from place to place a lot, which is a joy, because it means I have far more stuff. But the further I go in each base, the more traders I find, and the more difficult it is to remember what they all want and what they all sell. So, and when I'm trading with the clothes traders, I have to look at a piece of paper. So I do think that for those of us late in the game, a journal would be good. And I would suggest that the journal could be made from leather, maybe small leather or something. But if you were to put, say, in your E section, if you were to say put 3 leather here, 3 linen, or 6 linen for however many pages you wanted, 3 leather here, and then you could expand it by adding 1 leather, 1 linen, 1 leather as you go. It would be fantastic. Now, the other thing is something that I have actually picked up from Saraty. It was her idea. Saraty, it was a brilliant idea. At the moment, you have 2 choices of bed. There is the pallet, which is very short on hours, and this one, which is about 6 hours. So you can't sleep through the night. But Saraty suggested, which I thought was brilliant, that you should be able to trade up in beds. So at the moment, this bed, this one's just made out of straw. This bed is made out of planks at the bottom, straw bales, and then linen over the top of the bed covering. But suppose to trade up, you couldn't amend the bed you've got, but just suppose that you could make a different bed, a more sophisticated bed, and planks, there you go. Or I've got planks. And that instead of having the planks at the bottom, the straw bales and the linen, that you had to have whatever number of linen was deemed right, but you put feathers so that you had a feather bed. Now, I've been playing over 300 hours. Now, I've not been seriously farming chickens, but I've only got that number of feathers. And so I think that's quite a good late game amendment. And it's also something that would add to the chicken farming, because at the moment when you farm chickens, you get meat, you get eggs, and you get feathers. And as far as I'm aware, and I might be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, the only use for feathers is to fletch arrows. And I do actually find myself panning and getting flint arrowheads, so you can get, you know, different arrows here. But this is where normally I keep the feathers. And again, thinking about seasons, it might be that if you have a base in a cold area, you might find difficulty keeping warm. Well, how about in addition to your bed, you could add a duvet for extra warmth. And this would make a duvet cover. I have a duvet cover. And I just thought it would be another way of adding things that are warm into the game. We already have survival traders who will trade us warm clothes. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to make a feather duvet that you could put on top of your bed to make it even warmer? So I just think that the 3 things for me that would most enhance the late game would be a mannequin, and I would make that just as you make it out of straw bales and sticks. I would make it out of linen, straw bales and sticks plus linen over the top. I would love to have a journal where I can keep track of my collections of different things. And one I'd forgotten, of course, is I collect shells. It would be nice to know what shells I have or haven't got. So I have a shell collection, I have a clothes collection. So both of those I would like to put in a journal. And early in the game, it would be nice to have something where you could write down what paintings you've got. You know, there's so many things you can buy. It'd be nice to remember them. And then also, I think that once you start finding translocators, and remember I'm on to my 5th one, which to me enhances the game enormously, because I get different rocks, it would be wonderful to be able to have a journal where you could write down some notes about each translocator area, for example the traders, but also if you've got a superb cave that you haven't finished exploring, it might be good to put that down. So that's just a few ideas for the next but one update and what I'd like to see a little bit later in the game. Bye bye guys.